Today's episode is day one of a 5-part series to help you launch your firm into 2024. Each day this week, we're dropping a new episode to guide you in setting up your firm for next year in 1 hour per day. Today's hour will be spent on marketing. Let's go.
Run your law firm the right way. This is the Maximum Liar Podcast. Your hosts, Jim Hacking and Tyson Mutrux. Let's partner up and maximize your firm. Welcome to the show.
Jimmy, how you doing, man? We're talking about the secret plan to launch your firm into 2024. I wasn't sure if you were going to start, so I jumped right in. So what's going on?
You sort of threw me for a loop because I thought we were recording this like a podcast, but that's okay. It's always good to be with you, Tyson, and I'm excited about this topic that we've come up with. We're going to present today the 5 days of Christmas, the 5 days that you use to get ready for 2024. We're going to show you how in 1 hour a day for the 5 days that hopefully your office is closed between Christmas and New Year's, that you can come out of the gates running right into next year and get yourself situated for a kick-ass 2024.
So let's talk a little bit about the origin of this and then kind of the mindset behind it, because we were sort of talking about, okay, like what would it be like if you were to sit down during the time that your people are away, right? All your team members are away, because a lot of us give people that week off and there's not a lot going on. If you just took that uninterrupted time and you just dug in and you just took action, and you kind of either, if you're at a starting point, like early on stage one, you kind of build up your firm, you're building your firm at this point, or let's say that you're more established, stage 2, stage 3, and you need to revamp things. Like, what are the things that you would do? So that's kind of like the genesis of that. So yeah. And I to me, I don't know about Jim, I've really enjoyed kind of going through this and thinking about it. I don't know about you.
Well, so I've certainly had years where we were out of the country between Christmas and New Year's. I think last year or 2 years ago, we went to the Dominican Republic, but I can also remember specific years, usually after I've moved offices or done a big software switch, which we're doing right now, that you just don't get that time in the office by yourself that's nice and quiet, where no one's around and you can really sort of plan and think and not be pulled and dragged in all these other directions. So I think it can be a really special week. We certainly want to encourage people taking time off and enjoying time with family. Like for me, what I was positing was that this would be the hour that you do before everybody else wakes up. If you're old like me and you have teenagers who sleep in, or you do it after the little kids go to bed. If you're younger like Tyson and have small kids who hit the hay around 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like there's a lot of power in taking that time off and spend time with your family and everything. But you're all right though. I think that some of the things we're going to talk about, pick what you want from them. You can take what you want, leave the rest. But you should be able to do some of these things in a fairly short amount of time, hour a day, 2 hours a day if you want to. You don't have to do all of them. I definitely encourage you not to do all of them, but I think that's right. So let's go ahead and jump right in, Jimbo, and talk about the secret plan to launch your firm into 2024. 1 hour a day, like you're talking about. So take this 1 hour, pick whatever day you choose. In the Army, they called, if I remember correctly, so once a person's injured, the golden hour is that hour after they're injured, because you've got to get the bleeding stopped, got to get them under control, because like that's like where you can save their life. So this is where you save your firm's life. It's that golden hour that you can do 1 hour a day. So we divided this into 5 days. And the first day we're going to talk about is marketing. You can divide your days however you want, but the first day we're going to talk about is marketing. So Jimmy, on day one marketing, how are you going to spend your hour?
So I think we might want to do a little bit of a dramatic pause in between each one, just so that we can set the stage for the format. And each day, starting on December 26th, we're going to release each of these as a mini podcast so that people can listen to it and take action in that 1 hour. And I think that when it comes to marketing, there's no substitute for spending that hour seeing how you're doing, assessing how you're doing as it relates to your competition. So I know that we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we make our firm better, but I mean actually digging in and seeing what am I doing well? What am I needing to improve? What are other people doing better than me? And really just, I would spend that hour thinking about how can I improve my game? How are we doing in the community? How are we doing in our practice area? And really digging in deep to try to figure out with just a pen and a paper, how am I doing? Sort of scoring ourselves on what we're doing each day to improve when it comes to marketing, how we're doing on case signups, what our goals are for 2024, and then how we're going to get there. So you have to design sort of what you want case number wise. And then I would say boost it by 20%, make yourself uncomfortable so that you have a little bit of a stretch goal, and then deconstruct in that hour how you're going to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. And whatever your goal, I'm not going to tell people what their goal should be, because for some people it could be, you're actually taking on less cases, but you're taking on more high quality cases. But I do like the idea of, okay, you start this with self-assessment and then you start with the goals, and then you can start to kind of reverse engineer what you're going to do. And I think that that's the best thing you could do when it comes to this. So how would how are we doing on marketing? What did the year look like? How are our revenues? Things like that. How many cases do we bring in? And if you do want to increase, the number of cases you're bringing in by 20%, okay, now let's figure out the things that you need to do to really do that. And so something that, and I want to get to email lists in a little bit because I want to see what you're thinking about this, but something that I was thinking of is you might want to revisit your avatar, and because I think this is something really simple that you might be attracting the wrong people. And like for example, your avatar is Muhammad, right? And this is a really good time to, okay, is this the right avatar for me? Is this working out for me? And then write down what we talked about unique selling proposition a long time ago, but what is that USP? Like, how is your firm different? And the reason why I wanted to talk about those a little bit, Jim, is that if you think about it, most of us, and I'm including you and me, we've become just like every other firm out there. And there is, I can't remember her name, the book, but she talks about different is better than better, right? And when you're not different, you're just like everyone else, and that you cannot differentiate yourself. And so everyone's just going to go with whoever, right? But if you can differentiate yourself, so how are you different? How are you better? And if you can outline that and you can figure out who your avatar client is, you can adjust your marketing. And so I think starting with those things, who's your avatar? Is your avatar the right avatar? And then how are you different? I think if you can start with those, and part of this is assessing where you currently are, but then also where do you need to be?
I think that's a great point, because a lot of times, we think we're different, but does the marketplace think we're different? And the market doesn't lie. The market doesn't care. The market isn't emotional or sentimental. The market goes where the greatest perceived value is and the greatest expertise is perceived. So what are you doing to make sure that people view you as an expert, view you as the go-to lady or the go-to guy? I mean, I always think about Steve Bartle and about how he was just kicking butt from these well-established family law attorneys because he had done the right things to increase his number of reviews, to increase his Better Business Bureau score, to make sure that Google was pointing to him when it came to people doing search. So I think this is a good time for self-reflection and for self-assessment. And I think that that's one of the great things about the special hour you have when it comes to marketing on Tuesday, the 26th.
All right, so let's get into some nuts and bolts a little bit too, because we got to make sure we've got enough time to get to everything. But since you mentioned the website, I want to mention one of the things that you could do, because your digital presence is the importance of that's not going to change. But one thing you can do, even if it's not you could have someone else do it, audit your website. So we just hired a new SEO person that is in-house. So we've got our own SEO person now. And the first thing he did, audit our website. And he was able to identify some very key things that can be done fairly quickly to help boost our rankings. And even though I think we out of 90% of the things we were in the green, but there's some 10% of the things we were in the red or the orange. So, but starting with that audit of the website. For example, I bet that a good third of the people that are watching this or listening have not audited their website in years, and their phone numbers or their emails or their addresses are wrong on their website because they've moved offices and they've not updated them. So there's things like that you can go and you can audit the website and fix those things, and you can do it uninterrupted. And even if you don't do it yourself, you can hire someone to do it. I think it's a good time to also update your email list where you can clean it. And if you've never used your email list, you can update it. So clean and organize your email list. You can do that with your CRM if you've got a CRM.
Thanks for listening to the Maximum Lawyer Podcast. To stay in contact with your host and to access more content, go to MaximumLawyer.com. Have a great week and catch you next time.